When I started working on the sketch, I already had a finished composition for the future painting, and I aimed to carefully transfer it to paper. I used a B2 pencil to achieve soft lines and a gradual buildup of tone. First, I outlined the oval of the head and the general proportions of the figure with light strokes. Then I drew a vertical center line to check the symmetry and added horizontal guidelines for the eyes, nose, and mouth. Gradually, I moved on to constructing the shoulders, arms, and body silhouette. I used an eraser not only for corrections, but also to refine the highlights, slightly muting unnecessary shadows. Once the basic contours were complete, I refined the details: the shape of the hair, the folds of the clothing, the position of the fingers, and the accessories. To complete the sketch, I traced the key lines, maintaining the energy of the line work and leaving space for the paint work. When the sketch was completely finished, I moved on to the most inspiring stage, painting with acrylic paints. I used 3 brushes for the work: a fine one for fine lines, a medium one for details, and a wider one for the background and large fills. I started with the background to establish the overall mood of the painting. On the horizon, I conceived a contrast between the bright golden field and the rich, almost dramatic sky. First, with a wide brush, I applied deep shades of blue and violet, gradually blending them directly on the paper. I kept my strokes energetic to convey the dynamism of the sky and the movement of the clouds. In the field, I used warm ochre and brown tones, creating texture with dots and brush strokes. With a medium brush, I added grass silhouettes, keeping them more subtle so as not to distract from the central figure. Next, I moved on to the subject's clothing. For the vest, I chose a bright red color to contrast with the background and immediately draw the eye. I used a medium brush to fill in the main areas, and with a thin brush, I emphasized the contours, seams, and folds. I painted the orange sweater with warm tones, allowing it to blend harmoniously with the field. In some areas, I added darker halftones to emphasize volume. I painted the pants green, and here a medium-sized brush allowed for a smooth distribution of the paint. I added shading at the bottom and light hatching lines to maintain the dynamism of the drawing. Working on the hair required precision. I used a combination of red, orange, and black tones. Using a thin brush, I drew individual strands, leaving a slight roughness to convey the character's lively personality. I painted the hat with dark colors, adding a few cool tones to echo the sky. I painted the face carefully using thin, translucent layers. I started with a base warm skin tone, then used a thin brush to create shadows under the eyes, around the nose and around the lips. I paid special attention to the smile it needed to retain its expressiveness, intent, and mood. I highlighted the eyes with a rich line, carefully adding highlights. In the final stage, I returned to a fine brush. I carefully emphasized the contour lines, enhanced the texture of the grass, and worked on the rings on the fingers, the collar, the folds, and the shadows on the hands. I added a few white strokes to the eyes, a sheen to the hair, and subtle details in the sky to enhance depth. The painting really came together when all the elements came together. The vibrant character, the contrasting background, and the confident line work. Critical assessment of the painting. What worked well? The character has a vibrant personality. The figure is expressive, with an emotional smile and vibrant hair. The color contrast is strong. The red vest works perfectly, makes the character the focal point of the composition. The background is vibrant. The blue-violet sky creates mood and depth, and the field conveys a sense of spaciousness. The bold line work. The outline enhances the style of the work and creates an illustrative effect. What could be improved? The proportions of the hands. The hands are slightly larger than intended, visually weighing down the lower part of the composition. The anatomy could be clarified. The face is slightly simplified. If desired, you can add more nuances of light and shadow to convey volume. Color transitions. In some areas, you can soften the transitions, especially in the clothing, to achieve greater fluidity. The background can be varied. Add small elements. Birds, more clouds, distant trees for depth. What to add change. Slight shading along the edges of the vest for volume. More texture on the pants. Slightly refine the grass in the foreground. It looks too abstract. Style of the work. The painting is executed in an illustrative, expressive style, combining features of comics, teenage graphics, and original painting. It is bright, emotional, and slightly naive in presentation, which makes it lively and memorable. Who might like it? Lovers of bright, emotional, and friendly character illustrations. Those who appreciate the artist's signature style and bold colors. Fans of comic-style graphics, expressive brush strokes, and a touch of caricature. For those who love the atmosphere of travel, freedom, and wide-open spaces.